More glory be to the Blessed Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, both now and ever, in the ages of ages. Amen. Dear parents, brothers and sisters, dear children in Christ, Christ is risen.
He is risen.
Today, the feast of all feasts, all the festivities in the Christian liturgical calendar, the summation of everything that we have celebrated comes to its culmination today. Death is destroyed. Suffering is destroyed, that which came from sin. Death is transformed now into a passageway. Our physical death, we do not have to fear anymore. Christ goes into Sheol, breaks the gates of Hades, relieves the captives, and gives us life. The tomb has transformed to a passageway. And the message of today is this, the fact that hate, death, evil try to conquer love. Hate tried to conquer and destroy love. And in that process, hate, evil, and death became destroyed. Death is transformed into life now. And now we see in the gospel message that many were flocking towards the tomb. Many were running towards the tomb to see where is Jesus? Where is his body? And we know what the angel says. Why do you seek the living among the dead? Why do you seek the living among the dead? We know the gospel message that was read today. The angel directs them saying that Jesus is not here anymore. He has gone to Galilee. Go there. The question that we ought to ask today, living in 2014, living in Chicago, is to ask the question, where has Christ risen today? Where has he gone? Where has Christ gone today? If we believe that he is risen, where has he gone? We would all run to the tombs. We will not find him there. We will all run to the cross. We will not find him there. Where is he? Where is he risen? The reason why the tomb is empty, the reason why the cross is empty, the reason why Christ went through suffering, went through death, is so that he may destroy death and be risen, none other than right here. That he may rise within in our own hearts. We have been preparing for the past 50 days our hearts, purifying our hearts, emptying our hearts of evil, emptying our hearts with hatred, emptying our hearts of darkness, so that Christ, when he breaks and destroys death, breaks the power of death, that he may rise within in our hearts. And because Christ rises within our hearts are filled with love. Because God is love. God who is love. We know what love is because God is love. We know what it's like to love our neighbor because God has loved us. And God is risen in our hearts. But are we still running to the tombs? Are we still running to the tombs looking for Christ? If we are still running to the tombs looking for Christ, I guarantee you, you will not find him there. If we find ourselves running to the tombs, that's because we are still holding on to hatred. That's because we are still holding on to sin. That's because we are still holding on to evil. If we want to experience Christ, if we want to experience Christ, the risen Christ, you don't have to go far. He is right here. Christ is risen in our hearts today. And it's important for us to realize this, that when we leave here from today, from this church, we ought to live our lives in such a way that even without saying with our mouths that Christ is risen, that people who you interact with will know that Christ is risen. Yes, we proclaim with our tongue, Christ is risen. But do we proclaim it with our life? Do we proclaim it with how we think, how we interact with our loved ones, how we interact with each other? If not, Christ is not risen in our hearts. Our hearts remain as the tomb. Our hearts remain as a tomb filled with sin and hatred. But Christ has given us that light, that divine light that shines forth in darkness, that gets rid of darkness, sin, and death. Christ is victorious over death and sin. And Christ has given us the authority, the power to win over our own sin and death. However, we have to cooperate with Him. We have to cooperate with Him. We have to cooperate with the risen Lord. If we keep on going back to the same lifestyle that we led for this past years, then Christ will not rise within us. When we go back to our homes, when we go back to our workplaces, when we go back to our schools, when we go back to our normal lifestyles, our daily lifestyle, ask ourselves, are we going to interact in such a way that we proclaim the message that Christ is risen through our life? If Christ is risen in our hearts, love will be filled within our hearts. When love is filled in our hearts, peace will be filled in our hearts. Peace not only fills in our hearts, it overflows to everyone around you. The peace that God gives us today, on the day of this resurrection, the peace that He gave to His disciples, in order for it to be in our hearts, in our families, in our churches, we have to have Christ to be risen in our hearts. Peace, love, joy, these three elements that we embrace from God today, that we receive from God today, let us leave with Christ in our hearts today. This is the message of the resurrection. We know, as I mentioned in the Good Holy Friday service, what makes sense, all the suffering and death of Christ makes sense only when we read the Song of Solomon. And the verse that I chose to reflect on Holy Friday was that the banner over me was love. Dear brothers and sisters in Christ, that banner is none other than the cross. The cross represents, which once represented suffering and death, now represents Christ and His love. That is the banner that we hold on to. Christ has given us the cross, the sign of love, so that peace may reign within us, in each and every one of us. I extend the joy and peace and love that we embrace today on this day of resurrection to each and every one of you. And I wish and pray that Christ may remain in our hearts throughout our life, in our homes, in our schools, in our families, in our workplaces, so that Christ's love and peace may also be within our hearts, for the glory of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. God, now and ever. Praise the